Hello. What we're going to be doing is exploring some linear regression, just some basic techniques. What I've done in advance is I've created an R notebook that's got some empty code boxes. Wanted to type this up in advance so that I wouldn't be sitting here typing the whole time on the video. I've also saved the regression.csv file into the same folder as this R notebook. So for linear models, we're going to be using the LM function within R, and there's two commonly used parameters in linear regression. It's going to be the formula, which is what describes the model, and then the data, and that's going to be that variable that contains the data set that you're using. And you want to make sure that you save all your newly created linear models into a variable. That way later on in your code, when you need to pull that for calculations, you can do so more efficiently instead of having to redo previous work. So the sample code that we're creating is going to demonstrate how to create a linear model, how to save it into a variable, and also how to create some graphs with it. So the first thing that we're going to do now in here, this is where we create our code, is within our R coding box here. We're going to import the data set. So to find the data set, what we're going to do is first call it a name, and that's going to be roll unm. And then in R, to assign it, you have to do less than sign and a dash. We're going to read.csv, and then in here we're going to put the file name, and this is going to be regression.csv. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to run a linear model on the two variables within this data set, the variables of roll and unm. To do that, what we have to do is use the linear model function, and we're going to do the dependent first, the independent second. So here we've got roll, which is going to be the dependent variable, and then unm is the independent variable, and then this right here is your data set. Okay, so just to be sure, we're going to run this, and it's not going to create any output. All it did is it assigned this variable name to this data set, and then here is where we're calling up that data set. So this one should give us an output. Let's see if it does. Okay, so it gives us some coefficients here. It says intercept is 3,957, and unm, which is your unemployment rate, is going to be 1134. So from this output, this is the regression equation that we're going to use. Fall enrollment is going to be equal to 3,957 plus 1,134 times unemployment rate. So this equation tells us that the enrollment will increase by this many students right here for every 1% increase in the unemployment rate. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually calculate the answer to that question. So we're going to take the 3,957 and we're going to add to it 1,134 times, and it's saying that we want an unemployment rate of 9%. So we're going to do 9 here. And then run that code and see what it gives you. Of course, it's going to give us 14,163. So for this next part, for a simple linear regression, we can do more than just calculate expected values. The summary function is a good tool to use, and it's going to give us a lot of statistical information that you would need to derive from a linear model. So first what we're going to do is what my original suggestion up here was, is to save this right here as, I'm going to copy this and paste it here with linear model listed as the variable. And here we are assigning it and then pasting that here. And then in the next line, what we're going to do is we're just going to call it with the summary tool. And you want to make sure that you type in exactly the same spelling that you've got. And we're going to run this and see what it gives us. Notice it gives us a lot of information here. We've got the minimum, we've got the maximum, we've got the medium, first quartile, third quartile. We've got the coefficients for your intercept and your unemployment variable. You've got the estimate here. You've got this standard error. You've got the t-value. You've got significant values here. You've got the residual standard error. You've got the R squared, the F statistic, all of these different things that can help you in statistical type problems. Another thing that you can do is you can do a simple plot of those two variables. So we're going to take this and we're going to use the roll, and then the second one we're going to use this information and use the unemployed. Okay, and when we run this code, notice it gives us a graph. Now, if you were doing this as a presentation, you might want to change the names of the X and the Y axis so that it's more user-friendly for people that are not used to statistics, for people that would just be your typical business people analyzing your results. But we're not going to do that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to do another statistical graph called AB line. And what this is going to do is it's going to graph the information, but it's also going to create the linear model graph as well. So here's our data set, and let's see what it does. Now it's telling me there's an error. See, I've got AB line and then linear model. Okay. Let's see. Show traceback. Plot new has not been called yet. So maybe we need to put that in this same code box. Let's try that. Let's cut this and then paste it here. And then we're going to cut this and then paste that here. And let's go ahead and just get rid of this box altogether. And get rid of this box altogether. And then rerun this and see what happens. Awesome. So you actually have to have the plot already there to be able to call it again with your AB line. So all this AB line is doing is it's drawing this particular linear regression line on the plot that's already there. So we both learned something together. If there's any questions, I'm sure that you can use different things here in R and also Google to help you with those things. Now, if we want to go ahead and publish this, we can. Let's see. Is it going to let me publish it without opening my account? No, it's not. I'll publish it at a different time then. Thank you for listening.